Welcome to Empire Building, the podcast where we talk about building big businesses and even bigger lives. I'm your co-host, Seychelle Van Poole.
I'm Via Williams.
And I'm Wendy Papazan. Wendy blah, blah, blah. What was that? Anyway, it's that kind of day. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to be, we've got our second part of our two-part series on the 411, or how to do a weekly accountability meeting with the key members of your team. And today we're going to just it's going to be a shorter episode, probably just 10, 15 minutes. And we're going to do just the tactical process of holding a 411 with your people. So jump in,
master,
guys.
I might say, because I think you
With
are the master at this.
Aw,
Yeah, you're the most
so sweet.
consistent. Maybe you are too, Say. I'm not as consistent as Wendy, so.
No, she's better than both of us at this.
Well, thanks. First of all, you want to, it's a condensed meeting. This isn't a meeting where someone's asking you lots of logistical questions. It's not a meeting for your EA to ask you all the things that you didn't have time for them to answer last week. This is a meeting that's about them. You need to remember that. And it's a tight meeting. It's a 30-minute meeting. Yeah.
Help. Via needs help. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what happens, right? So let's pretend, let's role play a little bit. Wendy, can we go over onboarding? Because we haven't had a chance to go over it. And this is a great time for that. And I'm really struggling with that and they kind of pull you in. What do you say to kind of steer it back?
Fantastic. After we go over your 411, we can talk about that.
Okay. Pretty straightforward there.
Pretty straightforward.
There you go.
Write that down, Via.
That's great.
Yeah. That is fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. And the key is, honestly, guys, these meetings can be 10 minutes. If you've got great people on your team and they're knocking their goals out of the park, there is really no reason for these meetings to last a long time. So they're scheduled for 30 minutes. Everyone comes prepared. Okay. Back when I used to have people do the paper copies, I'd have them slip the paper copies under my door at like 8 a.m, right? So I got to work on Monday. Everybody's 411 was there. And that was me helping them get started for the week. Okay. And I know that doesn't happen as much now because we don't have a physical office, but yeah, go ahead, Via.
Well, I just wanted to put a little shout out on that, because I was, kind of thinking about this episode, and I take notes for myself. And my note is to remind everybody that they have to do the work, not you. They do the homework.
Yes.
But one of the best advices, I had a coach for like 4 years. His name was Abe Shreve. And I said, hey, Abe, I'm going to be a coach for a coaching program, MAPS coaching for 2 years. I'm going to sign a 2-year contract because Gary challenged us to do that. Do you have any advice for me? And he said, my advice is don't put work on yourself. Always have them do the work and present it to you. That has carried through not just to like coaching, but to leadership in general. Like have your businesses report to you. Because what I used to always do is I would take it on myself. Okay, I need to come up with, I'll research your numbers before you come in. What? No. They research their numbers and give it to you, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of.
Well, and let me give you an example of someone who it's literally a delight to have a 411 with every week, and that is the amazing Margot Drake. I'll give her a shout out.
Love Margot.
She shows up. I see everyone's 411 because everybody in my world does it on Google Sheets now. I know exactly when it was last updated. I can see that right on the top. Yeah. So if it was last week, hey, I know I need to do a deep dive into that because they haven't looked at their 411 in a week. I show up. She walks me through her priorities for the week, right? We go over our scorecard. These are the metrics of our business. Are we hitting them? Are we not hitting them? And honestly, guys, 98% of the time, she's like, boom, 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 boom,
Amazing.
boom. Yeah. And that's what an accountability meeting should look like with a top person in your world. What can happen is if someone's not meeting their goals, right? Then you're starting to ask questions. Hey, Via, you said last week that you would have this done by this week? What happened? And you're coming from curiosity. Maybe something happened in their world. Oh gosh, Wendy, I had the worst week and all these things were blowing up and I had to put fires out all over the place. Oh, well, sure, that makes sense. Or it's like, hey, this is on our 12-week year goals. And we're in the third week. Right. And we need to get started on it. Where is that going? So it's really that kind of like dialogue back and forth. But the conversation can be very, very quick if you've got someone who's really knocking it out of the park.
Well, shall we run through the questions then and just kind of
let's
give
run through
everybody
questions.
A framework?
Yeah.
Okay, so questions to ask. Number one, how did you do this week? So Seychelle, how did you do this week? It's an open-ended question. I'm noticing. And by the way, these are Wendy's questions.
I hit my appointment goals. I didn't hit my water goal. I didn't move enough. I got a date night in. I didn't get my contracts, and I didn't make enough contacts.
Okay, so kind of a week.
It was an a week. Okay.
What were your goals last week,
And
Seychelle?
I'm giving this from like a real estate agent
and actually,
right?
Instead of saying that, Via, I would probably say something different. I didn't put this question in there. I wouldn't make the judgment around it. I would actually say, well, how do you feel about that?
I like that. Yep, that's great.
And she could say, well, I feel pretty good because, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've had it one of two ways answered to me on that. It was, I feel pretty good because I got the number of appointments, which was my one thing. And that was the one thing I absolutely could not sacrifice. And then I've had other people say, I don't feel great because when I look at everything else, I sacrificed everything else to get that one thing done and everything else cratered.
Yeah. What were your goals, Seychelle, last week? Was it just that one appointment was your biggest thing last week?
Yeah, it was I had to hit 2 appointments and get those 2 signed. And I did that, which was my big money-making goal. I'm just giving you an example from like an agent perspective. But I really didn't hit anything on the personal stuff. I let it slide off. I didn't manage my calendar well enough. And I feel really, it was crummy. I didn't get all that done.
Well, let's talk about what happened there. I mean, were you not able to do your personal, what were the personal activities that you wanted to do that you didn't accomplish?
Yeah, I didn't get movement, which is really important to me. Our daughter had a stomach bug, so I didn't move enough because I was taking care of her. And I should have tag teamed with my husband for us to figure that out. Instead, I didn't ask for help. When it comes to getting my contracts, I probably have more control over that than I realize because I should have had some proactive conversations with clients that I didn't have, and I'm chasing that this week.
It's interesting. I've noticed that come up a lot where you're not asking for help. Do you think that's a pattern?
Hadn't thought about it like that, Via, but now that you say that, I could see that.
That's something to think about how that's affecting you because you came into the meeting saying, I did okay, but I didn't hurt my personal goals, right? So that's what a Via meeting would be like. I don't
that's
know, Wendy,
good. That's good. I mean, that's...
No,
I'm playing guinea pig here.
Girl.
No, it's good. I went right there with you. I mean, these are literally conversations that we hear with our people. I mean, this is literally totally. Like I'm playing out a role play of a conversation we had last week with someone. So
totally.
Yeah, because it's not fun to come into an accountability meeting and for me to be saying to that person, you didn't hit your goals again. You didn't hit your goals again. You didn't hit your goals again. Right? I'm saying, hey. What's going on? Yeah. What do you need help with?
Talk about it.
Right?
You're coming from curiosity and not judgment. And I think that that's a really amazing thing that you're showing up as because you're not placing judgment on their actions. Their actions are speaking for themselves. You're just curious as to what's happening as to why those actions aren't occurring.
Other questions that Wendy has on here, if someone's not as forthcoming and flowing as Seychelle would be, if there's a gap between their goals and their actuals might be, okay, well, did they not do the activities? Exploring that. Is this a training issue? Right. So did they do the activities, but they didn't convert, right? Are they the wrong fit for the job? I would actually add in here, Wendy, I use the coaching habit questions a lot, what's the real issue here is a very common question of mine. So if you don't know the coaching habit questions, we can throw those in notes because those are a really great guide as well.
That's such a good point. And I will tell y'all, it happens all the time where you'll see the things that are getting left off of the 411 that is part of somebody's job description is oftentimes the things that are actually a mismatch for the job. And they're not doing it because they don't like to do it, because they're not good at it, because they don't want to do it. And it's actually, it's part of their quote unquote job, but they personally are not bought in or signing themselves up to do it. And so it's not getting done because they literally don't want to do it. They're literally resigning with their actions to not do that part of the job.
Yeah.
Well, and what that looks like is something is showing up on the 411 week after week after week after week. And it's your job not to make them do it, but to point it out to them. Hey, and ask the question, you know what, Seychelle, I saw this on your 411 last week. I saw it on the week before. I saw it on the week before that. You know, what's going on? Is this a priority for you or not? Yes, it is a priority. Okay, great. What can we do in order to make that happen? Well, you know what? No, it's actually not a priority. I keep skipping it. Okay, great. Let's dump it.
Yeah.
Or who could do it for you?
Let's dump it. Yeah.
There is something really powerful in being the leader and running these meetings and giving your people permission to dump it. Like I felt relief with you saying that in a podcast fake role play. So I just want you to know that.
Yeah, well,
I'm the entrepreneur, so I'm the one in the group that I have a leader more than you guys
I'd probably be a good coach for you, actually.
You'd be such a good coach. You are a good coach for me.
I'd be a coach
regularly.
Except I don't love coaching, except for Holly Mitchell. She's my favorite coaching client. I know, I love you.
But she would coach you as a friend more than like a coaching
well, I do. We all coach each other.
I couldn't afford Michelle.
Good point. You can. You just don't want to. You don't want to. You'd rather afford her as a friend. So.
Yes.
Well, and then the last part of this is like, what happens if they're not hitting the goal or the activity week after week after week? And if they're consistently not doing it or they're not turning it into you, the conversation turns into what we call a PIP or a performance improvement plan. And, Wendy said it earlier, but I think it's a great thing to look at is it that they're not doing the activity, or is it they're not a right fit for the role, or is it there's a training issue? And really how you design your PIP or performance improvement plan really depends on which one of those three it is. If they're a wrong fit for the role, you might be helping them self-select out. If there's a training issue, you might be putting them back into intensive training, or if it's an activity issue, then you're going to be doing some sort of like two-a-days, right? Like if you were in athletics, you'd be doing two-a-days to get caught back up.
I love that, Seychelle. And I know we mentioned this on part 1. If you guys haven't listened to part 1, this is the shorty part 2. But you also want to make sure that your people are putting their personal goals on there. And what I tell everyone is like, hey, put the things on here that you want me to hold you accountable to. If you're feeling uncomfortable with me knowing about this, don't put it on there. That's not the purpose of me to dig into your personal life. Yeah. But if you want some accountability around some of these things, then I'm happy to do that. I can remember I had a transaction coordinator on my team. She was with me for about 7 years, and she was able to chip away at all these bad habits that she had. I think she did like 7 or 8 66-day challenges, and in the accountability meetings, we were able to help her basically become a better human being, and that's really the point of this, right? We're all trying to get better. We're all trying to improve. We're all trying to be better than we were yesterday. And the 411 is really the way that you do it with yourself. And the 411 is really how you help your people with this incremental success, because guys, success looks different than you think it does. Success is repeated activities done over time, and taking the time to meet with your people 30 minutes a pop every single week, trust me, will do more for your relationship and more for their ability to make themselves a better person, even after they leave you. Yes. Even if and when they leave you, it's such a gift to give them. So highly encourage you guys to do all of that. So just another way that you can go out there, and this will help you not only build a big business, but an even bigger life. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Bye.